Okay, so today I decided to have some fun. This is going to be Rock Lobster by the B-52's, of course. It's the full album version. No video here, it's just the song. And, of course, I've heard this. This is going to be a review, not a reaction. And anyone doing a reaction to this, I don't know if I believe them because this song is inescapable. And I feel like you've heard parts of it. I've never delved into it. I don't know all of the lyrics because, again, it's hard to know what Fritz Schneider is saying at some points. But yeah, this has just been on my mind. I thought I already did it, to be honest, but I love the B-52's and I've never done a review of this. So let's get into it, talk about it after. And I just love the fawn over the B-52, so I'm just happy as a clam. Let's get into this right now. Here we go.
We were at a party. The earlobe fell in the D. Someone reached in and grabbed it. What the rock lobster?
Hypnotizing. Ricky Wilson.
We were at the beach. Everybody had matching towels. Somebody went under a dock, and there they saw a rock. It wasn't a rock. The rock lobster.
Oh my god.
Rock lobster. Rock lobster.
God. I love it every time.
Motion in the ocean. His air hose broke. Lots of trouble. Lots of bubble. He was in a jam. Set a giant clam. Rock. Rock lobster. Down, down.
There's Ricky.
Underneath the waves, mermaid waving, waving to mermaid.
I mean, it's the best almost 7 minutes of your life. Rock Lobster by the B-52's. Again, I'm surprised I've never done this because, again, I like to review some songs that I've already heard. And I thought I would have already done this because I've done many different reactions to the B-52's. And I love reacting to this era of the B-52's, and I'll be mostly because of Ricky Wilson. Of course, Ricky Wilson passed away in 1985 of AIDS. And again, so after he passed away, Keith Strickland would take over guitar work. And from what I've read, and again, I don't know if this is wrong or what, and I didn't know this, but I guess Keith Strickland watched live performances from Ricky so he could replicate the way that Ricky played the guitar, and which I thought was very nice. And of course, Ricky and Keith were very good friends. And I believe Keith was the first guy that Ricky came out to and told him I'm gay when they were teenagers. So anyway, that's very nice of him, and very endearing. But anyway, that's not talking about the song here yet. But again, I just wanted to do this because it's just so fun. And this band, this band themselves are a party band. And again, this song is basically about a beach party. And at some points, I don't know, because I was looking at some lyrics. And again, I've never really delved into these lyrics. I've never looked up what Fred was saying at different points, because again, his voice, it's kind of hard to decipher some words. But I was thinking, are there some innuendos in here? Are there some double meanings of some lines here? His hose broke, his hair hose broke. I don't know. But anyway, motion in the ocean, all this stuff. But stuff that just, I guess, went over my head. And that's one thing too. I feel like, I don't know if I'd say the song goes over some people's heads, and that's a big reason why I wanted to get into this, because I really just want to talk about it. I've never been able to yet, and it's almost like I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation in high school or something. And but anyway, I guess that's what a lot of these videos are about. But when you talk about Rock Lobster, again, people think of it as a quirky, fun song, and maybe some people I know hate Rock Lobster. They think it's just it's shite, and again, it's just a lot of noise and whatever. Don't know what Kate Pearson and what Cindy Wilson are singing about. The animal noises they're doing. And some people think it's just so avant-garde and it's just so out there. But when you think about it, and as many people have said, from looking up about the song, this is a complex song. This is a hard song to replicate. Again, I talk about how Keith Strickland was looking at videos of Ricky, doing Rock Lobster or different songs, because he had to, replicate that and try to get to that sound. And I want to talk about Ricky of the get-go, how that guitar riff enters a song, and he described it, I think, to his sister Cindy when he made up that riff, and he said, "I just made up the stupidest riff I've ever, this is the stupidest riff I've ever done." And then they recorded it, they jammed out to it, and I think Fred Schneider got some of the lyrics, they came to mind because of an actual party he went to, and now I think he said one of his earrings dropped into the punch bowl or something like that. So anyway, so some of these lyrics came from that, and yeah, I talked about, kind of life in Atlanta and the parties they frequented, and all that kind of came to be. But yeah, Ricky Wilson with that guitar riff, again, is so quirky. He is so vital to the sound of the B-52's, again, early B-52's, until Keith would take over. And it's beautiful that Keith took over and nobody else came into the band, and they just became a foursome. I keep going to that, but I don't know. I just really love Ricky's sound. And yeah, and how Ricky plays. He was such an underrated and innovative guitarist. Yeah, he was such a guitar himself, but such a innovative and underrated guitarist himself. And the way that he would play, make that unique, again, quirky sound, where he almost sounded like he was playing two different guitars, because he would have that open tuning. He would tune his guitar to the point where he thought it sounded right, whether it was, I guess, what a musical kind of a genius would do or whatever. He would tune it to what he thought sounded good for a song. And that's what really created that almost two guitars sound effect, where it sounded like more than just one guitar. The band did not have a bass guitarist at this point. There was a synth bass on this track, though, of course, from Kate Pearson, as I've seen the personnel in the YouTube video here. But of course, no bass guitar. But it sounded like with Ricky, it sounded like you did have a bass and a guitar, or just two guitars. I mean, yeah, he just sounded like both. And yeah, so I just love his riff off the get-go. Dun 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 dun. It's like really in your face, and it's really, I mean, there's a dark tone to it, although the music is obviously very uplifting. It's all very happy, and it's all, crazy and, colorful and all this stuff. But yeah, I do like how he comes into it. And again, it's very prominent in your face, and it catches you. I mean, it grabs you automatically, obviously. And then we go in, we have that cowbell from Fred Schneider, which I love a cowbell. My God. I mean, I feel like this was probably the first song I ever heard a cowbell on. And I think the first time I ever heard the song was through Just Dance. And of course, I was dancing to this, and I still kind of remember that dance. And I'm glad I'm visiting the song again now. But yeah, guitar work from Ricky is just off the charts. And again, I talk about, he's a great, innovative guitarist, and how he really attributes much to the band's sound, of course, and how we keep going back to him. I never get tired of that riff and how he just keeps coming in with it. Dun, 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 dun. It hits me the same every time. I don't get bored of it. I could listen to this song, all 7 minutes of it almost. I could listen to it over and over again for an hour. I just love it so much. Anyway, and then of course, and this is why I like that I did this, because I've never really listened to this with the headphones on. And Keith Strickland, I've already talked about him, but his sound is so solid here. And again, it's hard to replicate, I imagine. The song is, again, it's complex as hell. But with his drumming here, again, solid. He is obviously the backbeat of the sound here. I just love his style. I just love, again, how hard hitting he is. And when I heard it now, I'm just like, my God, he is just so, his sound is infectious, and he is very in your face as well, and very hard hitting. And I just love that if I'm doing the same rhythm or not, I can't remember, but I just love how he and everyone else works so well together. And again, through the other listens I've done, without doing a video on the song, I've never really noticed how integral Keith's sound is to this track either. So I'm glad I'm doing this. Fred Schneider on vocals, I love his voice. I don't know, I guess you might describe it as nasally. He has a high pitched kind of voice. Very unique himself. Everybody in this band is unique, if you can believe that. And it's just that I don't know how that cadence he has, and it's just, I don't know if it's his, that Georgian accent. I don't know what it is, but just that happy sounding voice that he has. And I'm not going to try to replicate what he does here, but it gives off great infectious energy and, good vibes, as they say. And, it's just, I don't know, there's something about him. Again, obviously a lot of surf rock going on here, and his voice fits that very well. Again, we talk about surf rock. There's a lot of girl group kind of, feeling to the song as well. And I feel like as well, if you talk about Rock Lobster, it's almost like, is the band talking about how that's how they describe their sound? Again, I know Rock Lobster is an actual like crayfish or whatever, but when you talk about Rock Lobster, it almost feels like, the band made up their own rock sound, and that's how they describe their own sound, because there's so many blends here. Of course, new wave, like I talked about, that avant-garde, girl group, surf rock kind of sound. But at the same point, there's also some kind of 60s sounds in there. I'm getting like, Jimmy Page vibes as well on guitar work. I'm getting all these different vibes, and it feels like, the band themselves are saying, the genre is Rock Lobster in a way. But anyway, there's so many different genres, blended in here that almost, doesn't always fit surf rock either. So it's hard to say that this is only a surf rock song. Anyway, and if you put some distortion over surf rock, it almost sounds metal. So I mean, at the same point, my God. Anyway, but talking about them, I got to talk about as well the women on the track here. Cindy Wilson, who I see here, if this is right on YouTube's description, Cindy is on tambourine and, of course, vocals, and Kate Pearson is on synth bass and vocals. And, of course, the synths on this track are very important, too, especially when you go down and then they rise up. And then, again, Ricky comes in there with that great riff. And it's just beautiful with how the synths work here. Again, for the time as well, it's 1978, I do believe, when this was released. 79, from what I'm seeing here in the description once more. But, yeah, synths were in, obviously, and especially New Wave. Many people love to use synths in New Wave as well. And in synth pop, of course, but yeah, that worked perfectly as well. Everything, nobody stepped on anyone's toes here, which is crazy to say, because again, there's so many different instruments and the sounds are just so out there. And I can't even imagine being alive in 1979 and hearing this for the first time. I'd imagine some people are like, well, this is just dog shit. What is this? But some people too will probably just have their heads blown off, because they were like, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this before. And I'd like to know another song that sounds something like this, not only from, the B-52's, but a sound that's so out there, if anyone has any suggestions. But anyway, yeah, so Kate Pearson and Cindy Wilson sharing vocals. They're doing the different sounds of real fish and made up fish and all these things, stingrays, whatever it is, the yelling, the Yoko Ono inspired, screeching, I guess I would say, which I guess also inspired John Lennon to bring Yoko into his music again. I think John took a break from music and inspired him, I think in 1980, of course, the year that he passed away, to get back into music and to bring Yoko along. And because, yeah, you could tell that they got influence from the Yoko there, when I believe it was Kate who was doing the high voices and Cindy was doing the low voices there. It was a party for the band, and everyone had an integral part to play. You didn't only pay attention to the lead vocals from Fred Schneider, although again his voice is so out there and so memorable. Everyone had a point in this track, and you remember almost every instrument and every sound and every yell and scream and screech, and I loved it so much. And we go into the first verse here, of course, and a lot of it, this is where I talk about kind of that girl group kind of thing comes into play, because the whole skadoo-ba-da, it's just scatting in a way, and I just love it. And of course, Cindy and Kate do it very well. And we go into we were at a party, and Fred's voice too, he can go in that and have that almost, I don't know if you say darker tone at points, but his voice is it fluctuates, and it works very well. He can go higher, he can go lower, he has a good range, and so do Kate and Cindy, obviously. His earlobe fell in the deep, and I didn't even know he ever said that, so I'm learning things already. His earlobe fell in the deep. Well, that's not good. Somebody lost an earlobe right off the bat in the first verse. Jesus Christ. We were at a party, and that's how it goes. And like I said, I guess he kind of took that because his earring fell in some punch one time. Someone reached in and grabbed it. Was a rock lobster. So I guess, earlobe fell in the water, go to grab it, and here's a rock lobster. That's pretty, that's kind of crazy. And like I said too, rock lobster, are they describing their music in a way too? Are there some double meanings here? I don't know. Then we have the chorus, and a lot of it, of course, again, the ahs, the skadoobadas, I mean, all this stuff, it's not words, but it fits so well to the track, and it's integral, again, to the sound. And then rock lobster, and then the chorus, of course, and then we go on to the second verse with more oohs and ahs. My goodness, we were at the beach, and then of course, we got Kate and Cindy behind. Ooh, I mean, my God. Everybody had matching towels. Somebody went under a dock, and there they saw a rock. It wasn't a rock. It was a rock lobster. Again, I don't think is there much more meaning? But we're just talking about what we see at a beach, going under the dock. Thought they saw a rock, they were going to pick it up, but it was a rock lobster because, again, they're camouflaged, I guess, perhaps. And again, I guess if you called it, again, I think they're called crayfish. I don't feel like that would work as well. Here's the B-52's with crayfish, but rock lobster obviously was a better name, and it really put them on the map. So I'm sure they're happy they made it up. Then we have the chorus here again with rock lobster, and then we go in with the third verse, rock lobster, rock lobster. And then again, this is where I talk about, is there some double meaning, or is my mind just in the gutter and am I horny? I don't know. Motion in the ocean, his air hose broke. And again, I just love how Fred would become at points, very abrupt or something. His air hose broke. It's just, I don't know. It's just the way he would pronounce some words. Lots of trouble, lots of bubble. He was in a jam. He's in a giant clam. And then we go on. And again, I don't know if we're just talking about craziness or what. And again, it's just all this craziness that this party, has produced. But of course, yeah, his air hose broke, which is, again, not very good. It's lots of trouble, lots of bubble that this air hose produces. He was in a jam. He was in a giant clam. And I guess maybe a giant clam did swallow him. But again, giant clam, I think about maybe a woman's parts, perhaps. I think about his air hose broke. I think about penis, perhaps. Anyway, but I don't know if I'm digging way too much into it. Motion in the ocean. It's not the size of the boat. It's the motion in the ocean that really does it for you. Anyway, then we go on here to the next part with the bridge. Rock lobster, down. And then we're going down. Again, talking about in the water. We're going down in the water. Are we going down on each other? I don't know. I've never thought about how sexual this song could be. But maybe I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm in my own head right now. Anyway. And then we have lots of more of, skadoo-ba-doo-was, and then underneath the waves, mermaids waving to merman. Now we're waving back to each other. We're thinking about all these people, all these things in the water, waving sea fans, seahorses sailing, dolphins wailing. Again, given these dolphins, these seahorses, all this animal life down under, sea creatures, the ability to wave and such, and we're all having quite the time with these animals down below. Rock lobster, we're going to the fifth verse, red snapper snapping, and again, just some of these things, it's just so ridiculous, and it's just so, well, what's the point in a way? Okay, red snapper snapping, muscles flexing, flippers flipping, but it just works so well too, because again, we're at a beach, we're having fun, and the band has already brought you in. We're now in the fifth verse, and I mean, at this point, if you're still listening, I would imagine you still like it, and you're just, rocking your head along to it, and just talking about, yeah, flippers flipping, hell yeah. Then we have the bridge once more, which I've already talked about, lobster, rock lobster, sixth verse, boys in bikinis, girls in surfboards, everybody's rocking, everybody's, Fruggen, I can't remember how we pronounce it. Twisting around the fire, having fun. Again, having fun. The band's having a lot of fun. Twisting around the fire at the beach. Again, it's just talking about what you see at the beach, what you're doing, the activities, all this thing. Baking potatoes, baking in the sun. I mean, I guess you could bake a potato in the sun. Putting on your nose guard, put on the life guard, pass the tanning butter. Again, pass the tanning butter. You're going to lay out on the beach. I don't know, again, if there's more to these lyrics. Put on the lifeguard. Maybe that is some kind of Of course, I think about a lifeguard themselves, but put on the lifeguard. There are some annotations, of course, here, but I don't know if it's any way to just rhyme with the previous line or put on the lifeguard, to watch the people in the beach. But either way, we go on from there past the tanning bar, like I talked about, and then we go on to the seventh verse, where it gets a little bit more crazy, which is nuts because we're already very crazy. Here comes the stingray. There goes a manta ray, and again, we're just talking about all these things we're seeing, and of course, we got Cindy and Kate in the back, just screaming their heads off and talking. And I love how we go on to the next part, in walk the jellyfish, there goes a dogfish. And when he says, there goes a dogfish, I believe it was Kate, I want to say, who does like a meow, which is just, I don't know, it's just hilarious. And it's just, it's just nuts. Why would a dogfish meow? It's a dog. But anyway, I just love it. And chased by a catfish. In flew a sea robin, watch out for that piranha. There goes a narwhal. Here comes a bikini whale. And then the high-pitched scream. I don't know what decibels she hit, but it just hits so well, too. It's about as good as that guitar riff. Everything about this is just so goddamn good. And hits the spot for me. Then the outro. Lobster, rock lobster. And I love that. Ooh. And just the vocalizations are off the charts. Fred Schneider, of course, the lead vocalist here, and he was great. But Kate and Cindy were such great backing vocalists here, too. And they had about as much importance as Fred himself. I just love how the band took this on. It's just a party. You talk about how the song is about a party, but this was a party for the band to do. And watching live performances of it too, you could see that they were having fun. You could see that they were just, so young and full of energy and full of, vigor and everything. And they wanted to take on the world. And this song really got them on the map. And to this day, it might be their best known track. Anyway, I've gone on too long, and I just really wanted to do this just because I've always enjoyed this song, and I've purposely not listened to it for a while because I wanted to do this idea, and here we are. So again, never delved into it like this, never really got the feeling that I got here for some of the guys on the track. Again, Keith, I forgot about how important and vital his sound was to this, and how he was the backbeat of it all. And I just really enjoyed it. And I guess did this more for me. So if anyone watched, I really appreciate that. So if anyone's still here at this point. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting. Wanted to do something fun today because why the heck not? And yeah, this was the Rock Lobster, one of the greatest tracks for me. And yeah, so that's all I got to say. So thanks for watching. Liking, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff. I'm close to 8,000 subscribers at this point, which I never really talk about how many subscribers I have, whatever. But that's very nice. My goodness gracious. I really appreciate it. So I'll talk to you guys again soon.